Hello and welcome to the Pride Wagtail podcast. And I have got Joe with me today.
Hi.
Do you want to introduce yourself?
I will. My name's Joanne Grace. I am a mother of three, a wife, owner of two dogs, work for social services, the older sister to a crazy family. Just that's me. That's who I am.
It's you.
In a nutshell. Yeah. A little bit crazy,
there's
a little bit quirky, but that's me.
much more to it than that, I think, but that's the short story.
Short, yeah, I don't think we've got enough time on this podcast for all of it, to be fair.
Okay, right. I'm going to kick off with the first question, which is, what is your own personal definition of wellness and resilience, or one or the other?
I had this conversation with my daughter when I kind of looked at this before. I think wellness is it's a new buzzword. I think everybody's talking about wellness. It's a buzzword, mental, physical, but it's a holistic meaning. For me, it's holistic. It's about you holistically, physically, mentally, socially. It's who you are. It's how you're made up and what makes you happy. That's what I see it is. How you look after yourself. What do you focus on? How do you get your inner you? It's wellness. But I feel like it's a bit of a buzzy term right now.
I think it's popular.
Very much so.
So, okay, so you've mentioned happiness. What makes you happy? Where you put your focus? Anything else?
It varies, doesn't it? What makes you happy? What makes you focusing on yourself? Finding time to focus on yourself. What makes me happy, I think, varies on the day. It could just mean that somebody's washed up or loaded the dishwasher. That could make me happy. Having time on my own, that could make me happy. Coming home to my house being full of people, it just varies on the day. And I think people kind of get a little bit confused or a little bit too focused on this happiness, as in there's one thing that makes me happy, or if this happens it makes me happy. But for me it just very much varies on how my working day has been, what my family life is like, what I'm walking into. So it could be small things, it could be big things. It could be, my husband brought my rings back from the jewelers the other day. That made me happy. It's been a long time and he just surprised me and brought them back. So I was happy with that. Today, my happiness was the fact that I unloaded the dishwasher and somebody had kindly put all the spoons in one bit, all the forks in one bit. So when I was unloading it, it was so much easier. That really made me smile. I was so happy at that. It's so little things.
Is that the definition of I don't know, I'm trying to think of the phrase now, but enjoy the little things. Enjoy the little things. The definition.
Yeah. Enjoy the little things and the big things will come, and the bigger things will come. But if you can be happy at little things, you're halfway, I think, there to wellness, to self satisfaction, I think. Okay. For me.
So can you tell everybody a little bit about your personal journey into wellness?
My personal journey, so many different journeys to figuring out what my wellness is, or how to create my wellness. At the moment, it's quite spiritual, I think. I'm very much into my crystals at the moment and learning about crystals, meditation, learning to meditate. I love the idea of meditation, and I love that meditation kind of, to me, embodies a little bit of what wellness is. And if you can meditate, then you've practically achieved wellness. Whether that's true or not, I don't know, because I'm epically failing at meditating. But I will continue to try to get it right, and my wellness will be will be there, will be complete. So at
hang
the
on a
moment,
sec, you just said it's holistic and now you're pinning everything on meditation.
on the meditation, deep down, I feel like the meditation is the key. If you can meditate and meditate to what my definition of meditation is, then all of your wellness is will come.
Okay. What's your definition then of meditation?
Of being able to, and I don't even know what the right terms are. So, you know, you meditate, you put on the music or not the music if you, you know, if you don't need that, or a meditation podcast or whatever it is that you listen to. I listen to loads of different things. I listen to frequency music. I listen to somebody telling me how to meditate. I read a book. I try to sit in silence and meditate, whatever that is, and just finding inner peace. But what is that? I don't know. But because I can't find it. I can't get there. I can't meditate. I can't quiet the noise long enough in my head to achieve what I think in my head meditation is, if that makes sense.
That does make sense.
You know, I think to meditate, you quiet the noise, you find your inner core and achieve peace, achieve that being able to manage your physical well-being, understanding your body, hearing your body, mentally just quieting that constant noise that you have in your head, and just zenning and just being.
Mm.
I don't know if I'm making myself very clear. However, I have yet to achieve that. So that's why I can't, I'm constantly striving my journey. What else have I been doing? Apart from failing at meditation, my crystals, cleansing my house with sage and lots of just trying to create a nice environment to be and have my time. So I'm currently looking around in the room that I'm in at the moment, which again, my journey of well-being was I wanted to decorate this room, my front room that I'm currently sitting in, which I'm not going to show you around because, yeah, again, it's one of my crazy moments of, that's it, this is going to be my room. This is going to be my room of relaxation, meditation. I'm going to have my books around and I'll be able to come in here and just relax. And I want neutrally kind of colors, but I want a nice green to kind of just earth me. And so I ripped all the wallpaper off. I got my husband to take all the wallpaper off out of the room. And now I can't find the color that I want. So I've got patches of greens, of blues, of, yeah, it's just ridiculous. This is the most unrelaxing, totally the total opposite of what I've been trying to achieve in this room. So yeah, I keep looking around, laughing at myself, really. I do things on a whim to find this wellness this is it. This is what's going to create my wellness for me. And we're just going to do it. And now I've kind of moved on from here because then I found another color that I like for my bedroom. So I'm going to have wellness in my bedroom because I found the color. I'm going to get the color. I found the wallpaper. So we will decorate that in the next couple of weeks. And the wellness will now be in the bedroom where I could just go and be and have my space. I've lots of books that I've recently bought, how to meditate, finding your inner you. You know, pop psychology books, as my daughter now calls them, who's studying psychology, and tells me that I shouldn't read them because it will turn me into a narcissist. That's what she has been told in her lectures. So don't read The Secret, don't listen to The Secret, don't read The Power, all these kind of things. Mum, you shouldn't listen to them because they're going to turn you into a narcissist. I do read them. I don't think I'm a narcissist, but she may have something different to say. But I pick the bits that are relevant for me. And I hope that that's what people do, is pick the bits that are relevant, and you don't rule your whole life by it. It's just trying to find something that will help you on that path to being relaxed, being happy, understanding you, hearing yourself, and just being.
So what kind of things are you reading to try and achieve? Because it sounds like you're saying a few different things. You want to, inner peace, you want to know who you are, like to be you, and also you want
to understand me, to just an understanding. It's that understanding, that knowing, I think. I'm doing a lot because I don't know what it is. And I think there is no real definition of wellness, and everybody has their own definition. You could read 20 books and they will all tell you something different. So to be able to understand what my wellness is, I need to know me and my triggers and what I need to help me to relax and try and learn not to be triggered by them. Yes, so I'm kind of perusing this book, Are You Enough, at the moment. It's just taking the bits from it that resonate, that I feel okay with. I don't really like this book, if I'm going to be honest. There isn't really a lot in there for me. But it's just good to kind of open up my mind into how other people may think or feel about themselves. So that's just one of the books, like I say, that I am reading at the moment. I've got loads of other books. I've got my crystal books. I've got my Learn How to Meditate, my 1-minute meditation books, the list is endless. More crystal books than I know what to do with, to try to help me to manage my spirituality, to manage my wellness.
Okay, so I've got to be honest, I'm a little bit confused about what you're trying to achieve. Are you trying to find out who you are, become more spiritual, get inner peace, become happier, learn how to relax?
Aren't all of those things wellness? Aren't all of those things about wellness?
I think they are all wellness, but I think sometimes if you're trying to figure it all out at once, instead of maybe try and focus on a few things, maybe it gets overwhelming. That whole wellness journey can be overwhelming if you're trying to do it all, if you're trying to address everything.
But wellness is everything.
Yeah.
So am I picking the one thing for wellness, or am I trying to achieve full wellness? And again, I get it. When we talk about finding, for me, it's not necessarily finding out who I am as a person, because I think that I know, I'm quite confident in who I am. It's understanding, like I said, my triggers, and knowing that those triggers are the opposite to my wellness and can cause have a lot of drama in my life. I have a lot of outside influences that cause and create me a lot of drama. And I can easily become triggered by some of that or some of those people. And it's not that I can't, no, it is. There are some of those people I cannot get rid of. They are in my life. It is what it is. There's nothing I can do about it. And they come and they go. The ones that I can get rid of, I'm more than happy to draw that line and say, see you later. But there are those that I cannot. And there are those triggers. And I need to learn for myself to manage and keep my wellness, my well-being, my mental well-being. How do I not get triggered by that? So yeah, sometimes I might read one of those little pop psychology books, and sometimes I buy them because I want them to look aesthetically pleasing when I do up my room, so that I can...
Or the spines, a similar color.
Yeah, no, they're not, but the spines are similar in shape. No, some of them are, but that's not the reason why. But it's just so that, I could just throw them and scatter them around to be like, yeah, look at what I've got in here. Lovely wellness room. Yes, it's about my triggers. It's about, trying to manage my my mental well-being by not learning what triggers me and how to manage that trigger. It's, then understanding that if my mental wellness is not great, that has an impact on me physically. So then how do I manage my physical wellness? So yeah, it can be overwhelming because you are trying to manage all of that, but all of that is my wellness, because wellness is me. And how do I, if one is out of sync, how do you manage, how it has an impact on the others, which means how do I manage that and manage that impact on my life?
It's hard, isn't it? Because you have a lot going on and you have a lot of roles as well, and there's a lot of people that depend on you. And my view of you, if that's okay to say, is that you're often you're the one keeping everyone together, you're the one keeping everyone else on an even keel, to the detriment of yourself
Often,
because you have to have it all on your shoulders and you're trying to keep the peace everywhere. So that is really hard, especially when it's people that you can't let go. Those people have to be there. So like, what kind of things have you tried so far?
What to manage my triggers?
Yeah.
Okay, so I have cut some people out, people that were major players in my life in the last few years. They've been major players, but I've had to just draw that line and cut that out. I have tried silence. If you haven't got anything good to say, don't say anything at all. Try to reflect on, I've tried a lot of reflection, and that's with work. I think I've learned that through our job of social care, of reflecting on how I reacted and why did I react that way. What was it that really triggered me? That takes me a long time. That doesn't come straight away. That takes a lot of time. And even with, like I say, the people that I've recently cut out of my life, even today, I was just going back over certain conversations and things that had happened and thought, why did I let that trigger me? And why actually why do I still find it a bit of a trigger, even though I've cut them out? And so they're not major players anymore. I can still feel certain triggers. So trying to reflect on that and understand that, I'm still learning that, and I don't know how best to manage that. What else have I tried? Lots of walking, to just remove myself and actually just go for a walk, think about it and let it go. And letting go has been a big thing for me. Because I'm very good at holding a grudge or holding this situation and keeping it, and now I'm learning to just let it go. Can't control it, can't manage it, let it go.
Have all these things sound hard, like, because it's hard to cut people out of your life, it's hard to just let things go, it's hard to not just keep ruminating on past conversations, and you keep thinking, what happened? Why did do they need to be out of my life? No, they do. Do they not? Well, it's,
and this is still coming back, like I said today. So one of the other things from my that helps me physically and mentally is that I go swimming every morning, or most mornings. I will try to get up and do a half an hour swim with a target of how many lengths, and just kind of, as I'm swimming up and down, as I'm swimming up one way, it's trying to release whatever negative thoughts I've got in my head. And as I swim back up the other way, it's to fill that space back up with a positive thought. Really,
I like that.
Yeah, it's difficult. I find it quite difficult not to swim up thinking negative and then swim back thinking even more negative, and then thinking, oh God, 4 laps in, I forgot to do that positive one now. So it's not easy. And today, as a prime example of doing my laps, that again, I was back to that whole conversation of, you know, these major players that are now gone, it was replaying some of those conversations. And why am I still thinking about this? Why is this still here? And I don't know if it's because some of it wasn't quite cleared up.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there were still conversations that need to be had. That's something I need to kind of figure out. Do I still need to have a conversation to kind of draw a line under it? Or if I do encourage that conversation, am I just opening the door for more drama? I don't know. I don't know. Part of me is thinking, just leave it and let it go. Just let it go. And eventually, the more I swim up and down with my positive thoughts, it will just go and dissipate, and it won't be so much. But we're coming up to nearly not far off a year. Summertime will be a year that all of it was like, that's it, we're done. I'm done. I've moved on. I can't do this anymore. And still, I don't really feel like I'm much further forward. I'm a little bit further forward, but not much. So yeah, it's difficult. And again, you know, like I say, there are major players that I cannot get rid of. So how do I manage that? Distance. I've learned to distance myself from it. I've learned to not get emotionally dragged into things that actually once before I would have done, and felt that it was my, you know, that's what I needed to do. I'm not doing that anymore. And actually, learning to manage how I respond, because I can only control how I respond. I can't control how they take things or how they respond. I'm learning that how you respond is how you respond. It's not down to me to manage that, but I have to manage how I respond and look at my responses. So yeah, I'm learning that slowly. Don't know. We'll see how that goes. It's all still a work in progress, isn't it? It's always a work. It's always a work in progress.
It's really hard because I think that's something that I try and do. And I think, well, when you're talking about failing with things, you're failing with meditation, you're failing. I don't think any of it's failing. I think it's just trying to figure out what works for us. Because I've been in I am in a similar situation where there's someone that's not in my life, and then, I mean, but they're still there.
But they're still there. Yeah, they're not, but they are very much still there.
Yeah. And that's a really tough situation. And yeah, if you can figure out that one, you let me know.
I'm still trying. We're still trying. Always a work in progress, isn't it?
Yeah, I think, and that's how I see wellness, as like a journey. I don't always see it as an end state.
No. I although I do, I feel like if I can just master this meditation, I will just be happy. I will have this happiness, this serenity. And when I'm triggered, I will just go into this meditative state, and I will come out and I will just be, and I don't know whether that's real or something that I've just created.
I think people do. I struggle with meditation, and I've tried a lot. But I think some people do report that they can get to that state. But I don't know if meditation is the only way to be able to achieve the end goal. There might be several ways of achieving the end goal.
How? I want to wake up and just be like, yeah. And I say, I don't know if that's real or something that I've just, you know, created in my head and try to manifest this state of euphoria and happiness. And like I say, when you get triggered by it, I could just zone and get to that place. Yeah, I try lots of different things. I have a little screensaver on my phone, which my youngest daughter constantly tries to change. And it's of like a Japanese blossom garden with lots of pink blossoms and a bridge. That's my place. That's where I go to. So it's a screensaver on my phone. And so if I just need to picture that and just get myself and transport myself there when I'm trying to do my meditation, it that's my place. And I just like to look at it and just be like, oh God, yeah, I'm that's me just walking through barefoot.
Because that's another type of, like, that kind of visualization. Perhaps that is a way to get into meditation more.
I find that easier. The visual meditation, I
Mm.
find easier. And I had started to attend a Monday motivation group that he called it on a Monday. This guy was doing it. And I went randomly. I wasn't going to go, and I went, and I thought, okay, I'm going to go to this and just see what it's like. And his style of it, so he would open up with a meditation and shut with a meditation, but it was very visual. He was just, he was setting that scene. Loved it. Absolutely loved his style of getting us into that meditative state. So I did that a few times, which was quite good. It was nice. It was okay. It stopped now, but yeah, it was good. So I like that style of meditation, that I can throw myself into wholeheartedly and do that. Some of the others I just really struggle with it. So and then it doesn't help when every member of my family is like, oh, you're meditating. Oh, I'll come with you. Let me come and lie down and meditate with you. No, like, this is my time. You go and meditate in your own room. Or, my husband, why are you up here? Why have you decided to come here no, I'm going to meditate with you. Oh, okay. Yay.
It's, in a way, it's kind of nice they want to join in.
When he starts snoring and I'm like, oh my goodness. He could zone out and then it finishes and he was like, that was great. Really? Like, literally, you've been snoring for the last half an hour. What do you mean it was great? I love that. It was great. I did not enjoy not 1 minute of it. So yeah, it's a work in progress. A work in progress. We keep trying. I will keep trying and find a way forward, I'm sure.
So you've mentioned loads of things, like physically, like going swimming,
walking, going to my favorite woods and walking, and going to my favorite tree. That's again my thing. I love that. And can just be. We went, I say that, but yeah, I did go at the weekend with the dog and my youngest, and we ended up getting lost. So not quite as relaxing as I wanted it to be in the end. But I love that place, and I can go there and I just feel calm. It just gives me calmness. So yeah, I enjoy that walking. But then on the other flip side of that, of all the calmness and the niceness and the zen, going out with my friends and laughing and drinking and partying, that also is great wellness for me and a massive part of who I am. And can just kind of just shake off the stresses by having a laugh and just being silly or whatever it is that we're doing at that time. So again, I think that's important. That's an important part of my wellness journey.
Yeah, I don't think you can underestimate that kind of social connection with other people, because we know that connection is just so important. And
definitely, lockdown showed that, didn't it? Really.
Sorry.
Lockdown showed that you need to be connected. You need to see people. You need that social side of things to be able to be happy, to be in touch with people. It's who we are. So yeah, that's a massive part. Is my social life is a big part for me of my well-being, definitely.
So have you got any tips or strategies that have worked that you can share?
I'm failing at them all, Brianne. We've just said this.
But are you failing or are you learning?
Learning. We'll go with the positive
Yeah,
side of
see.
things. Learning.
And this is
Definitely
a theme that's coming up as well in the podcast.
is learning.
Yeah, and growth.
It's always, I've been saying this to my kids, knowledge is power. You learn all the time. And you need to learn whatever the lesson is, whatever it is, there was a lesson that needed to be learned. You learn it and you move on. And then you have that knowledge of what works, what didn't work, what you should have done, what you should have done, what was great, what wasn't. Take from it what you will and move on. Try not to make the same mistakes again. Best laid plans and all. I think definitely being physically active helps me to achieve a lot of my well-being. I think that much I have learned recently is taking that time to make sure that I'm okay physically, then helps me mentally. So I think that's definitely something, and just taking the time for myself. Something that I never used to do. I used to literally be here, there, wherever anybody called, I would have to be there. And then it's time for bed, and now it's a new day. No, now I'm very selfish with my time, and I don't care. And I don't care. I am selfish. I don't care. I know it. And I have to be selfish to manage my life, my mental well-being. I have to. Otherwise, yeah, I can't. You can't, as I tell most of my service users, my clients, my families, you can't manage if your cup isn't full. How can I give you anything if my cup is empty? So yeah, being selfish is what I have learned, and what I would tell anybody. Don't feel guilty by it. Be selfish. Look after yourself.
Yeah, it's got a bad reputation, that word, but I don't think it needs to. I agree
No,
with you. It's
I think
important to take time.
it really is. And yeah, like you say, it has got such a negative connotation to it, hasn't it? Selfish, but it's not. And yeah, I don't. I think I've had to learn the hard way, and I've had to understand that actually it's not negative. It's not negative. You have to be, otherwise you can't continue. It's not sustainable being selfless constantly. It's not sustainable. So actually, yeah, I've learned to be selfish and own it, and I'm more than happy to own that. I can say I'm very happy to own it. If you don't like it, oh well, take it up with somebody else, and I won't get triggered by it. So yes.
I think it's also important though to keep trying. So, like you were saying, that you think you're failing at meditating, but you keep going at it. And I think actually that's not something you get good at overnight. And I think that is something that you do have to keep going. You do have to practice it.
Yeah, and I've tried so many different ways, and I've got a little group that of one of my a few ladies that we try and do a few meditations a couple of times a month and get together and just try different ways. Some are really good at it, and I find it actually quite helpful. I find it better to do it in a group than on my own. I'm probably a little bit more successful at it that way. But yeah, I'm not gonna give up, because that is my end goal. Like I say, that is how I achieve my utopia, is by getting the meditation right. And when I do, you will see.
That's the difference.
Yeah, you will definitely see the difference. I will just be able to exude happiness from every part of me. She says.
I think everybody, I mean, I would love to achieve that kind of state. That kind of state. I know what you're talking about. The kind of state where nothing affects you, nothing worries you. You know for sure that you can handle anything.
Yeah.
And it's not going to affect you in a negative way. And that you're just got this contentedness.
That's the word. Contentedness.
Yeah.
Yeah. whether that really exists, like I say, I don't know, but I will be striving and learning and constantly trying to achieve. That's my pinnacle. That's where I'm aiming to be. And I think everybody needs that in their life. Life is really hard right now. No kind of end in sight. So yeah, I want to achieve that. So I will be working on it continuously to try and find that along the way, with my many distractions and children and babies and everything else, dogs and everything else I have in my life right now. So
And
that's
work.
and work.
So let's talk about your work quickly, because you work in adult social care. So your work is associated with trying to achieve a certain level of wellness for other people. You're trying to help them achieve it. So how do you, obviously there's procedures, there's assessments, but how does that work in your field? How do you go about motivating and supporting people to promote their wellness?
How do I do that? That's a really good question.
Within a limiting system as well.
Yeah, within a very limiting system, that is constantly growing more and more difficult as the days and weeks go on. It's trying to be as creative as you can with the little things that you've got. Listening, I think it's listening and being able to just to implement the little things. And I think that's what I have learned about, it's the little things that can make so much difference. So like I said earlier about the knives and forks being in an organized fashion in the dishwasher, that just made me so happy. But something as little as somebody being there to help that person go out to the garden can make all the difference. So it's hearing the little things, it's just seeing, going in and just look at, you have to look at everything. Again, we come back to those buzzwords, as I always call them, that looking at that person holistically. And sometimes, again, it's just trying to wade your way through the mounds and mounds of information and nonsense and life that they have, just to find that one little thing, and then just trying to run with that. It's difficult. It's a juggling act, and I don't know. We don't always get it right, and that's frustrating. And you have to work within the constraints that we have. But it's just trying to peel it all back, go back to basics. Don't overthink it. Don't try and do too much. It's a little thing.
I always feel like in that industry, you're often going in for one reason, right? Which is mostly to get care in for somebody. However, I think to achieve that extra little bit, like you need to bring yourself and you need to bring like your humanity to the situation, because often it's other things you bring that can make all the difference.
Definitely. And I think that's why you kind of just go in and listen and see what's going on. I always kind of go in. I try, as much as I try not to read. I read what the referral says. I tend not to try to read the assessment from the previous worker, if there is one on the system. If it's a new person coming in, great, perfect, because it's like a blank canvas. But I like to just go in, just have a look around, look at the pictures, see what's on the walls, see what's on the shelves, what knickknacks are lying around, just what is the house telling me when I walk in, and then just to listen, just to sit and listen and just hear what they're saying, what the family have to say, and just piecing together. It's like a puzzle. You just have to piece it together to find it and to manage it as best you can. Say it's always the little things.
Do you find that, because when I was doing that work, I found that in terms of wellness, like sometimes hearing someone's stories or taking the time to listen to a memory they've got, or because a lot of people don't see many people to chat to. They don't have a lot of connection in their lives. So sometimes just doing something like sharing a memory or letting people talk about stuff, just
Really.
outside of an assessment can just
Yeah, not
sometimes
picking
make,
up that same old,
yeah,
what can you do? What can't you do? It's just hearing, well, what did you used to do? What
yes,
did you used to do? Tell me about you. Tell me, and I love hearing those. And I love hearing from, I always seem to have an affinity with the Londoners that have moved out of London and moved to Hertfordshire. And they're always like, you're from London as well, aren't you? And I'm like, yes. And then it automatically just seems to just transport them right back to that time. And then yeah, it's just listening and just hearing what they used to do, how it was for them. And those stories are fascinating. Those things are fascinating. I mean, times are changing now, and we're getting a different cohort of older people, which will be interesting. I don't know how that's going to work, but it's listening. I think that's, for me, it's going in and just listening and then trying to piece it together from there. But it's not easy, as well,
yeah.
When you've only got one visit, or you've been told you can't go back, or
Yeah.
trying to fit all of that in a 1 hour visit is sometimes very impossible to do, or different cultural backgrounds that you've got to deal with, or there's just so many different things. So many different
Can make such a big difference just by that. Because what you're saying is listening to somebody who somebody really is, and people often say to do their own wellness, actually, who am I need to know who I am. And I think it's not just about knowing who you are, but like being seen from somebody else as who you are as well, being truly understood for exactly who you are. And I think that's also what you give to other people.
It's being able to draw that out of them, isn't it? It's being able to get them to remember who they once were, are. As you get older, you always hear that common theme from the older people of, oh, don't wish to get this old, dear, it's horrible, it's not nice. Because they're seen as somebody very different, as opposed to who they were. So I love seeing those old pictures on the wall, and going, oh my gosh, who's that in that picture? And that again automatically just transports them back, and then finding that common ground. I remember I saw one lady, she was really subdued. Her daughter did a lot of the talking, couldn't get much out of her. But there was this picture of a man behind her that I just kept staring at, this old black and white picture. And I just kept thinking, God, he's so handsome. Look at this guy. He's gorgeous. And towards the end of the assessment, I remember saying to her, who's that in that picture? And she said, oh, that was my husband. And I was like, wow, wow, he is hot. And that just literally just transported her back to meeting him, their courting days. I ended up standing there for half an hour, 45 minutes, listening to her stories, and we were just laughing at how she was going, yeah, I was so lucky. I thought, I was like, you were. Like, this guy was hot. But it was just, then I got a sense of who she was. That one picture that I was like, wow, this guy's really hot. Who is this? And just by asking her that, all of her guards were down, and she was transported right back to her courting days with this guy, her one true love. So that was lovely. And then from there, it was just figuring out what she wanted. What do you want? What do you want? Why am I here? You tell me what you want, and let me see if I can figure that out for you. But yeah, it's not an easy job. It's a lot of giving of yourself and holding their problems. So it's not something, again, I don't think a lot of people really understand that role. It's got a bad reputation of they always remember the failures, don't they? They always remember the horrific social care failures. Oh my God, you took my mum's house away, or you took my kids away. but that's just the one. You know, they forget about all the other things, and holding people's problems, stresses, as well as your own. Again, it's not a sustainable thing. So again, finding your own well-being and your own happiness and letting go of that work, leaving that behind, is difficult. It's not easy. It's not an easy task. It's not, you know, booking your annual leave and going, right, yeah, God, thank God it's Friday, I'm going on holiday. People have no idea of the prep that you need to do beforehand and knowing what you're going to come back to. So that's another stress. So again, finding this well-being and this, you know, how are you happy? How do you, there's so many different layers to that. It's just not as straightforward as.
I remember that well, right? Because if you just have 1 week of annual leave, that's not quite enough to get it out of your system. You need 2 weeks.
You need 2 weeks, but then by the end of those 2 weeks, you automatically start to think again. Your anxiety levels are already starting to heighten because you're thinking about the emails that you're coming back to. Have your cases been managed? So automatically, that wellness that you've managed to get in your week and a half, let's say, because it's never going to be a full 2 weeks, that week and a half that you've been off, by the end of those 2 weeks, you're already starting to heighten. Your stress levels are already starting to heighten. Your anxiety is already starting to creep back up because you know you're going back into this cycle of managing and holding people's lives, problems, situations in your hands. That's as well as your own and your own circle. How do you find your well-being?
How do you, yeah, you know what? And I'm in awe. I'm in awe of you. I'm in awe of everyone that does it, because it's incredibly difficult, and it's incredibly difficult to find that balance.
Yeah. And that takes a lot of time to find that balance, because we're not in the job for the money. Let's get that very clear. It's not for the money, it's because we care. But when you care, then you hold on to those stresses. And it's difficult. It does have an impact. It does have an impact. So, yeah, do I come home and have a glass of wine or 2 or 3? Most definitely. As a quick fix, yeah, I will. On a bad day.
You know what? It's interesting actually, because when I think about when I was doing that, I would say that wellness practices and keeping yourself well is almost very different when you're in that kind of job and when you're out of it.
Right.
No, it's a different level. It's, for me, the difference for me was that it's much easier when you're not in that kind of environment, to focus on yourself.
Yeah, I can see that, definitely. Because you can't focus on yourself. How long do you focus on yourself in that role for? What, now? But then I start work at 8.
Yeah.
So once I log in, you know, that's a whole different ballgame of whatever's going to crop up. Friday, well, by the time I finish work on a Friday, making sure that everybody's done and everything's done, not to mention any urgents that come through. Then it's Saturday. I've still got kids that I need to deal with and all the dramas that they want to bring. So I've got that. And then it's Sunday again. So now I'm right back to, oh God, I've got to log in. Oh, I've got this physics first thing Monday morning or whatever it is, and I've got to get there. And, you know, had a lovely evening yesterday, but then this morning I'm thinking, oh gosh, I've got to get to Aylesbury, I've got to get to this care home, I've got to do this, I've got to do that, I need to get back, I need to sort out this direct payment, I need to.
You can see how people burn out.
Without a shadow of a doubt, you see how people burn out. Holding on to this life is not an easy one, and it's not sustainable. People do burn out, and again, so that's what wellness means so many different things. It's not just one thing, it's many different things to be able to get you whatever your definition of wellness is. And I think that it's individual. It's individual to different people. What my wellness is to what my husband's wellness is very different to what my other colleagues' wellness is in the job, and in my team is very, very different. So it's a work in practice
Mm-hmm.
because we're always evolving, I think,
Mm-hmm.
as people, as employees, as friends, as family members. The dynamics are always changing, so that always changes. Just keep striving, just keep going. Just right now, I'm also trying to manifest my house in the country with a very limited signal so that people don't communicate with me on a regular basis.
Well, but you can, but see, we laugh about that, but this is the reason why retreats are so popular. I think it's a really good thing.
Definitely. Just take me there, and I'm again another one of my dreams of finding peace is having a house in the country, a couple of dogs, fields nearby, just peace.
Mm.
Just peace and quiet, and just living that slower pace, I think, of life. Chickens, fresh eggs. That's it. That's it. That I feel like I'd be happy in the morning, beautiful view, open up the windows, breathe that fresh air, go and get my eggs from my chickens, walk my dogs, and peace.
That sounds nice.
And a gin at the end of the day, or whatever it might be. Yeah. That again. Is that real life? I don't know. Is
Why
that
not?
is that a reality? Maybe.
Why not?
Because also part of my well-being is that social life that I can't let go. So if I've got that in the like, yeah, well, I really, remember I've built a whole bar in my back garden.
Yeah.
So,
Like when that's another thing about wellness, isn't it? You've got to be realistic,
yeah.
and yeah, I guess it's all, sometimes it's about prioritizing as well, isn't it? Like, this brings me peace, this is going to probably bring me more peace, like the bar in the garden is probably bringing me more peace, but I really need this occasionally. But I think knowing what your priorities are can actually help you to then figure out how much time to spend, where to focus, how much time to focus on each thing.
Yeah, it's a balance, isn't it? And it's also, remember, we've been in the winter months at the moment, so I haven't even really been out in the garden, in the bar, but the weekend was lovely on the Saturday. And so I was outside, and it was lovely, just with a cup of coffee in the garden, sitting with the dogs at my feet. My youngest was in bed, everyone else had gone to work. It was just lovely. It was, and then it just brought me back of, this is why I wanted this built. This is why I wanted this. This is just my little piece of.
It was peaceful.
It was very peaceful, and
Was it?
that hour that I had out there of just peace, and the dogs chilled and I'm chilled, was just lovely. It was so nice.
Mm.
And then my sister came with her kids, and that was the end of that, really. So, yeah, I got an hour, and then the kids came, and I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, that piece is gone. So yeah, we'll go back into this mayhem, bring me back into the real world like that, and then manage that for a few hours until they were gone, and then
Find the snippets where you can.
Yeah, and I think it is that it's finding that moment and being selfish of, it's my time, and I want it, and I'm not gonna sacrifice that. I'm not gonna do that because of what somebody else thinks of what I'm doing, or how I should have done this or helped or whatever it was, and get myself entangled in a drama. No, I will be selfish because I want this time, and I need that time. I need that moment. I need that time to myself. I don't want to talk to anybody. I don't want to hear anybody. I just want to be alone, doing me, whatever that looks like. And that's really important to me. And I do now, I've learned definitely to protect that at all costs. It's much to, no, I don't want to babysit your kids this weekend, to my sister, because actually I've had a really bad week, or actually not even because I've really, really bad week. I just don't want to.
And I love that because but you know what? I don't think people know that that's a valid excuse. It totally is. Not an excuse. It's a reason. It's a valid reason.
Yeah,
You
I
just don't want to. That's okay.
don't want to. And yeah, that should be okay.
Yeah, it
If I
is.
want to, then great. But I just don't want to. And it's taken me a long time to learn that. It has taken me a long time to learn it. And every now and then that little niggling voice is going, oh, that's not nice. Maybe you should have done it. But then I think, actually, no, my head can't, I don't have the space. I don't have that space in my head to take that on right now. I can't do it. No, I'm not doing it. Can't do it. Don't want to do it. So I'm not going to do it. And tough.
And there's something about that should language which is just so harmful.
I should do this, and I should tidy up, and I should go and do whatever it is that my husband had asked me to do, and actually I don't want to do it, so I'm not going to do it. Or very much so, that's, where I have learnt that. I think now that's one of my things that I can pride myself on in my wellness journey, is that I am very clear in, if I don't want to do it, I'm going to own that, and I'm not going to do it. And I'm not going to do it. And I try to shut down that, oh, you should, oh God, are you sure that you haven't, they're going to be upset. Again, we come back to that I can't control how you react to something. I can only control how I react or how I behave. And yeah, this is not what I want to do, so I'm not doing it, is my new thing. Not new thing, but where I'm comfortable now in my own skin doing that as part of my wellness journey. So that is one thing definitely that people should learn to do.
So that leads us on quite nicely to the last question, which is give me a strength, a value, or a personality trait that is really strong that you use in a positive way towards your life.
I love that emphasis on a positive way. Yeah, that's definitely one of my strengths. I think because I've got quite a strong personality and I know who I am, but I have had to learn to be comfortable with saying no. And that doesn't come easy. I think that whole, it's okay to be selfish, is getting to know yourself. And that's an element of me that I've had to learn. I've had to find her to say that it's okay to say no. It's okay to be selfish. And people need to find that. They need to be okay with doing stuff for themselves. Mm-hmm. Definitely makes you part of the way to your journey of Zen, whatever that looks like.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for coming to talk to me today, Jo. It's been,
thanks for having me.
It's always a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you very much. It's been actually really good. I really enjoyed it.